All right, I'm going to show you how to make some toilet paper sculpture. So this is a method that is great for sculpture at home that I've just recently kind of come into, and I've been very surprised at how well it actually works. And it is literally just toilet paper and water. So here's an example of what it might look like. You've got your interesting shape here, again, just using toilet paper and water, and it really does hold its form, and that's what's great about it. It creates a surface that you could paint on, you could draw on, you could add any sort of decoration to, and it's super, super easy to do. So when you want to do it, all you need is a bowl of water and some toilet paper, and then this process is going to get pretty wet, pretty messy, so you probably want something to work on top of, maybe a newspaper, paper towel, or you can use just like a little styrofoam plate or something, so that's what I'm going to do. This is hardly really a demonstration of technique. It's not a hard thing to do. There's a few key points that you want to get right when you are making a sculpture out of toilet paper. And the first thing is to start with a dry core. So you want it to be able to dry all the way through in order for it to hold its shape, and you don't want to leave it wet for too long because you don't want to get moldy or stinky or anything. So if you're making something that's a little bit larger size, you want to make sure that the center of it is dry, and then you can just kind of sculpt the wet areas around it. So depending on how big of a thing you want to make, you might want to start with a larger core or a smaller core, but I'm going to keep mine pretty small just for this demonstration here. So you bunch up a little bit of paper towel, think about the shape that you want to make, and then I'll take a strip here, and I will dip it in water and wrap it around that dry core, and I can start kind of building my shape here. Now, I have found that 2-ply toilet paper works better than 1-ply toilet paper, but everything works. The good thing about 2-ply is that when you dip it in the water, it doesn't immediately disintegrate in your hands. Depending on the quality of toilet paper you're working with, often it can just kind of start falling apart as you're holding it. So the 2-ply is nice because it kind of holds its shape a little bit, but everything works. It's just a little bit harder to do, but it still works the same way. You still get the same results. So I'm going to keep adding strips of toilet paper here until I'm getting more of the shape that I kind of want to go for. And I think I'm going to do some kind of like bird shape. So I want to build up some areas over here. And I'm just kind of squeeze it until I like the shape that we're getting in. Build up the tail a little bit. And let's build up the head a little bit more. All right, that's turning into sort of a bird shape, so we're going to work with that. Now you can continue adding on wet toilet paper and keep squeezing it and squishing it until it's sort of getting in the shape that you want it to be in. If you want to make any attachments or think about like surface decoration here, you can absolutely do that. So if I want to make an attachment, let's say I want to give my bird little eyeballs, I can start by bunching up some toilet paper. And I can either use it dry or I can dip it in water. I think the water helps compress it a little bit more if I want it to be small. So I want a little bit of water there to squish that. And let's say I'm making some nice googly eyes for my bird. I can just put that where I want it to go. And then obviously right now it's not going to stick, right? There's nothing really holding it on there. So place it in the area where you want it to go. And then you'll take another strip of toilet paper as like a sealing layer. And you can just put it on top of your attachment to hold it in there while still keeping that shape. So I'm just going to layer that extra bit on top. In order to make it stick out a little bit more, you can just kind of pinch around the edges, or I found you can use like a wooden stick or a pencil or something to really get that nice crease there so it does look like an attachment and not just like a weird lump. Get one eyeball there. It's a little hard to see. I know my screen's pretty white. Let's get another one. So I'm just placing it where I want it to go, adding another strip on top to hold it in. and then pushing it with a pencil to get those creases. And the more layers you add on top of these attachments, the stronger it's going to be, the more it's going to hold in your actual sculpture here. So now I've got my googly eyes on my bird. Maybe I'll make a little beak here, start with some type of a triangle shape. And then wrap a layer on top of it to seal it in. So that's basically it. I'm not sure what species of bird I'm going for here, maybe some type of duck. But I've got my attachments on here. You can see my eyes are starting to form out a little bit. I've got the beak. I can keep working and adding more attachments and thinking about surface and texture and stuff like that. You can add some wings on the outside if you want to. I don't know what you're planning on making, but you can make whatever you want out of this because it's a very versatile medium. It really can take any shape that you want it to take. And then you just sit it out and let it dry. I would recommend putting it out like outside if it's not going to be rainy anytime soon, or maybe by a window. It does dry a little bit better in the sun, and you do want it to dry kind of quickly so that it doesn't get any moldy or gross or anything like that. But it'll hold its shape really, really, really well. If you're trying to make something a little bit larger size, such as this, I made this in 2 layers. So I started by kind of building up the core, the shape that I wanted it to go, and then I let it dry completely, and then I added more wet toilet paper on top to build it up a little bit bigger, and that way the inside could dry before I added too much, and I was able to kind of work more slowly to get a larger size while not having to worry about the center being totally wet. So you can work in layers, work in sessions, and let it dry in between adding more, and that way you can get a larger shape here. These attachments are super strong. Like, I was very surprised at how well it works, actually. Like, I can hold it by this handle and it's super sturdy. I've heard of some people adding some glue in their water mixture and sculpting with it that way, and they claim that that adds strength to it. I haven't tried that. I haven't honestly seen the need to, because this is super strong. So I attached this handle the same way that I did like the beak and the eyes. I just kind of made the handle itself, pressed it up against the body, and then just wrapped some wet paper towel, wet toilet paper on top of it, and just created that joint. And it is as strong as I could possibly want it to be, so I don't see the reason to use glue. But if you want to try glue, go for it. It's a super, super easy process. You can really make anything you want out of toilet paper and water. So give it a try. I hope that was helpful, at least a little bit for you.